some needed support for the extension of the tax credits. Our judgment was that it would not produce that result. And the evidence for that is almost 7 weeks of fruitless attempts to make that happen. Would it change in a week or another week or after Thanksgiving or Christmas? And there's no evidence that it would. What there is evidence of is the harm that the shutdown is doing to the country. What it's doing to millions of federal workers, but also what it's doing to tens of millions of recipients of SNAP.
Just owning it. Just flat out, just straight up owning it, you know? God, not to mention like how bad it would be for Trump politically to own the fact that he's refusing and fighting constantly to pay out SNAP payments, even though he has the money for it. Just owning it, just flat out. Yeah, sorry, all the suffering for the past 39 days, we just took a while to come to our senses. The Republicans were right. It's literally the message here.
This is a true crisis for those individuals. Soup kitchens can't fill the gap. Food pantries can't fill the gap. SNAP is an essential part of the food, the food provision program in this country. And so we were faced with a strategy or a series of steps that wasn't working to achieve the goal we wanted with regard to the ACA, but it was at the same time creating hardship and difficulty for millions of people across this country.
You know that it's controlled opposition territory when the language here isn't even condemning Republicans. Like, he's acting as though the Republicans shutting down and refusing to negotiate is a force of nature that he has to work around. Like, oh, yeah, which this is just something we have to navigate and it's been difficult. No language like Republicans have refused to do X, refused to do Y. He won't do that because, again, like, you know, it's a uniparty, so on and so forth.
So I believe that we are closer tonight to a vote on the ACA tax credits than we were this morning. Because part of this agreement, and you heard the majority leader on the floor today say he is committed to putting a bill on the floor before the second week in December that would be drafted by the Democrats concerning health care in the ACA. That is a big step.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise, there's no way for the minority to get a bill onto the floor of the U.S. Senate. It has to be through the office of the majority leader. So that was a major step to get the majority leader to agree to make that commitment tonight on the Senate floor.
They really are just bad. You know how Republicans campaign? Correct. They're correct to do this as though their base are idiots and will believe anything. The problem is that Democrats are trying to play that same game, but to a smarter base. You'd have to be a fucking moron to buy this. Oh yeah, man. I'm sure the Republicans that are so opposed to extending the ACA tax subsidies that they were willing to keep the government shut down for 39 days and not even negotiate over it. I'm sure those people will just vote in favor of it next month. For sure, 100%. You might be able to guarantee that a vote goes through, but you can't guarantee what their votes are going to be.
So the sum is we are closer to the possibility of work on the ACA.
Yeah, that's about as much as his words are worth, I suppose.
A week ago, 2 weeks ago, or a month ago. So this agreement tonight is a win for the American people. And it's a win for those people that are so insistent that I'm hearing from all the time, protect our health care. Our judgment is the best way to do that is to get a bill on the floor. Is there a guarantee it will pass? No. Is it a guarantee it will pass in the House? There is actually some very strong interest in the House, a possibility of a bipartisan bill and get a discharge petition, and then perhaps we're on the way. And we have that expression from
Mike Johnson explicitly said he wouldn't do this before. Yeah, he is. Mike Johnson has literally said that he would not.
He's offered them a vote. You know what they told him in response? No, we need you to guarantee the outcome of that vote. Well, that's ridiculous. That can't be done.
The House is funded from the Senate. Will you assure the House members that they'll get a vote? House Democrats, they'll get a vote on ACA subsidies by a date certain?
No, because we did our job, and I'm not part of the negotiation. The House did its job on September 19th. I'm not promising anybody anything. I'm going to let this process play out. I'll tell you what they wanted. I'll tell you what Schumer and Jeffries wanted. In fact, Chuck Schumer said it publicly and decried that Thune and I would not go in a back room with them and make a four corners agreement on Obamacare subsidies. And I said, there's no way. That it was never possible or appropriate for that to be.
They just hate you, man. They just hate you.
Senators who are interested in working on a bill that will deal with the ACA issue and perhaps additional health care issues at the same time. So what happened tonight is not the closing of a chapter, it's the opening of an opportunity. What the chapter it does close is the damaging shutdown that is only getting worse, that is only going to impact more and more people. And it's an opportunity for
If
us.
the ACA tax credits don't get extended, doesn't that just hurt Trump more? No, actually, it would hurt Trump and Democrats now because the Democrats did this. It's their fault. They accepted this. If you're in a stalemate and Republicans refuse to negotiate but you compromise, you own the outcome. That's what a stalemate is. If the government shuts down because neither side can agree to an outcome and the Democrats move over to the Republicans to do their outcome, you literally voted for it. You own it. Democrats passed the CR that didn't include the ACA tax credits.
To move forward on behalf of all the people of this country on the issue of health care, but also on making the federal government function. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. At a time when families desperately need relief, Washington's dysfunction is making life harder for families, and the last 39 days are proof of that. A record-long government shutdown paired with record-high health insurance cost increases is not the kind of history.
I've said this before, but like a huge amount of political will, like the will to power, the ability to get things done, you know? It ultimately comes down to narrative and the ability to make people feel like what they're doing is worth it. That's why politicians who say what they can do are almost always more effective than politicians who remind people what they can't do. You want people to feel good about getting on board with a topic. And if you get people feeling good about a project, you can get them to sign off on suffering. Tons and tons of Republicans have continued to support Trump, even though their lives have been made materially worse by him, because they believe their suffering is an incidental outcome of a broader successful project, you know? What the Democrats are insistent on doing time and time again is reminding you that everything is for nothing. There are no projects. There are no beliefs. There's nothing to fight for. There's nothing your suffering is meaningless. This shutdown, it was meaningless. The time you went without SNAP payments, it was meaningless. There are no outcomes worth fighting for. That's it.
That the American people want Congress to make. Over the last several weeks, I've heard from Granite Staters who can't afford a doubling of their health insurance costs. I've also heard from families about the deep pain that the government shutdown has caused, made worse by a president who illegally and repeatedly chose to cut off help for families who are just trying to buy groceries. After weeks of bipartisan conversations...
Hold on. From Dick Durbin.
Yeah, but I mean, some people would think that this is a capitulation if you only agree to a standalone vote.
Need to understand how the Senate works. We have brought this.
Sorry, peasant. I know it might look like we're betraying you and signing the country off to evil sociopath pedophiles, but in reality, you just don't understand. Did you know that in order for a bill to be put forward to vote in the Senate majority leader needs to approve it? Yeah, I bet you didn't know that. Yeah, next month they're going to put forward a bill that all the Republicans will vote no on. It won't pass, but like, won't that be, like, we couldn't have done that otherwise. Thank you. Okay, anyway.
This issue is a major national issue from zero to a major factor, I think, in the last election. And I think we're going to continue to make it an issue as we...
I love the gerontocracy. You guys are not ready for the millennial and Gen X Democratic senators who are going to be just as bought by fucking capital interests.
I voted today to reopen the government so that we can get back to the work of helping Granite Staters. This agreement funds SNAP and food assistance programs, ensures that law enforcement, air traffic controllers, and other federal workers get paid, reverses the president's recent reckless layoffs and prevents them from happening in the future, and crucially,
By the way, what she just said right there is the reason why the final few Republicans have yet to cast their vote. This version of the bill does reinstate federal workers, which I don't fucking care about, to be honest with you. But it also prevents them from being fired again. And I think some of the hardliner far-right Republicans in the Senate don't like the idea of signing off on a bill that limits the president's power.
gives Congress a clear path forward to protecting people's health care. Our work to deliver relief for families now enters an important phase.
Save us, based Mike
Congress
Lee.
has 1 month.
Based Mike Lee, Hyperborean warrior, soldier of the Aryan people, I beg of thee, okay? Defend us by defending Trump. Don't let this pathetic bipartisan CR pass that would place limits on the be a patriot. Defend him.
To engage in serious bipartisan negotiations to extend the Affordable Care Act's expiring tax cuts that help people afford their health insurance. And let's be really clear, part of what has been happening is the time period to make that meaningful extension of these
As a person who relies heavily on SNAP and receives the maximum amount, I'd rather starve than give in to these fascists. I understand what you say right now might be hyperbolic, or it might sound hyperbolic. I genuinely think that with a good Democratic Party, the vast majority of Democrats would agree with that sentiment. The idea of, like, our country is being raped to death by octogenarian pedophiles, and the only chance we have at holding firm here is by, like, maintaining our position on this, no matter what comes the cost. And if the Democrats were strong on that, I think that people would gladly... Man, people make sacrifices during, like, wartime all the time. We are fighting a war right now. It's just that rather than it being some foreign war where we bomb people who throw sticks and rocks at our tanks or whatever, it's a domestic war where the thing we're fighting for is, like, the concept of a continued republic, you know? And the other side is like an army of pedophiles or whatever. It's worth sacrifice. And I understand it's rich. I'm a live streamer. I'm worth $50 billion. I know I'm the world's 7th richest man working on 6. I know. So it's for me, it's all rhetoric. I understand this, and I'm aware of my privilege. Thank you, you fucking woke-tard. However, don't you agree? People are willing to suffer if it's for a good cause. I believe in suffering for a good cause. I think it's good to believe in people's ability and right to do that. What matters, obviously, is the cause, you know? The hard times are coming up ahead. This right here is nothing. Buddy, the debt clock is running up, okay? The debt clock is running up. Those ACA tax subsidies, the amount of money that people are missing out on by not being able to get their SNAP benefits is nothing compared to the amount of money that people are going to lose paying for their ACA premiums once those tax credits expire at the end of the year. You know, a lot of suffering is ahead, a huge amount of suffering. And what the Democrats do over and over and over and over and over again is remind you that it's for nothing. There's no point. You're suffering for no reason, actually. Like, everything was always going to be this way, and it achieved nothing. Like, there was no point to it. You just suffered incidentally. Your suffering is like a rounding error in God's checkbook. You know, it means absolutely nothing. There's no heroism here. There's no victory. It's all just failure and capitulation, and, you know, one day you die. That's it.
Cuts has been dwindling. We are getting closer.
I almost hate them more than Republicans. Join me. I hate the moderate Democrats more than Republicans easily. Again, it's a know your game kind of thing. Okay, we know the Republicans are evil. I've never shied away from saying so. The Democrats are, in addition to being evil in many of the same ways, to be honest with you, are so politically ineffective, so willing to capitulate, so maliciously incompetent. It's people always hate traitors worse than demons. That's it. Yeah, exactly. Perfect way of saying it. Everyone hates traitors the most, obviously. Republicans are traitors to the country broadly, but at least we know what they're about. Of course, yeah, that's just how it is. You know, you should hate the Democrats more. You should, 100%.
And closer to the time in which families have to decide whether they can buy their health insurance or not and enroll in health insurance in this coming year. So my Democratic colleagues and I have been ready to work on this issue, on extending these tax cuts for months. With the government reopening shortly, Senate Republicans now finally have to come to the table. Or, make no mistake, Americans will remember who stood in the way. So
Yeah, man. Yep. We capitulated so that Americans would have the opportunity to be reminded of who doesn't want to pass the ACA tax credits. That's what this whole shutdown was about. Well, you see, when Republicans inevitably vote against the extension of the tax credits in a month, Americans will be mad. Wow.
I urge Speaker Johnson to finally return the House of Representatives into session and quickly reopen the government. And I urge all Americans in communities red, blue, and purple to continue to speak out about the importance of affordable health care so that families across America.
You want to send me the... Oh, Tempest, are you still there? Text me or DM me or whatever.
Thank you.
Are you here? Yeah, I would love it if you could put this out.
Thank you. And I thank my colleagues for their good work.
Hold on. Can you put this at the beginning of the segment? Because it's all like a crawl of breaking news stuff. You know what? No, fuck it. Wait, are you watching? Give me a message.
The vote tonight, and you've heard all of us talking about this, the vote tonight was crucial to open the government because too many Americans, hardworking individuals, seniors, children.
You are here? Okay, cool. Yeah, let me, in a second, I'll cut off the segment and I'll send it over. The opening bit, everything up until we start watching this press conference, yeah, just put that out. I don't know. You can just make it the same as the stream title. I don't know. Traitor Dems, bend to Republicans, abandon healthcare and reopen government, something like that. Gems, we are the Traitor Gems. Actually, that's the same. It's the no spoilers or whatever, but that's probably what they called them on Homeworld. You know what I'm saying?
We're suffering. I know in Nevada, particularly that is based on a service industry, tourism and travel, we are doubly hit. Tariffs, bad policies of this administration, and the shutdown was having an impact on travel to our state and quite honestly across the country. But it wasn't just that. We have federal workers that were suffering. We have TSA agents. We have airport controllers. And we were seeing lines to our food banks in northern Nevada. These were lines that I hadn't seen since the pandemic.
Yeah, and everyone was blaming Trump for it. Cornyn never showed up to the Senate building. Nobody knows where he is. In her final act of political service to the Democratic Party, Nancy Pelosi, dressed head to toe in black, has fucking stalked the Capitol building, looking to end the vote. It will let it never pass.
The stories were horrific. Seniors in line, needing food because they couldn't get access to the food that they usually would get at the federal
My love,
level.
could I have a refill
One
on the
man
coffee?
came and refused to say who he was because he was embarrassed and said I shouldn't be here, but he needed the food.
Yes, please.
Mothers
Thank you.
coming to the food bank to get food for their children.
Thank you. Thank you.
My colleagues know that opening the government was key to stopping that pain. But here's the thing. We can open the government and we can still fight to address this looming healthcare crisis. It is true. Right now, in our states and across the country, Americans are seeing higher costs, higher premiums for their Affordable Care Act. These are people that need access to healthcare.
If you believe these people weren't evil, this is like such an Occam's razor thing, where if you think that these people are merely incompetent, you have to explain away so much. Like, every moderate Democrat, when they fold, when they capitulate, when they show weakness, like, you have to, like, no, these, like, 30-year veteran senators who have sat in the halls of power for as long as I've been alive just keep making obvious fucking blunders all the time in ways that consistently benefit the opposition. You have to jump through some fucking hoops to not buy the controlled opposition bit. Well, I don't think it's controlled opposition in the sense that Republicans control the Democrats. I don't think that's true at all. I do think the same set of lobbyists and donors control to a large extent, both parties. Probably have more control over the Democrats than the Republicans, actually, because the Republicans are a cult of personality based around Trump. And they've openly defied capital interests multiple times just because Trump's ego directed them to. Whereas in the case of the Democrats, like, a cult of personality around fucking who? What does this party have besides their donors?
I have families that rely on the Affordable Care Act and these subsidies so that their children who have a rare disease can access their medication.
That's great.
I have small businesses who rely on the Affordable Care Act and the subsidies to help cover the cost for their employees.
Cool that you just voted on a CR that doesn't extend those tax credits. Then you just voted for it. You just voted for a bill that guarantees that those tax credits don't get renewed. You just did that. You did.
This is a fight that the Republicans need to understand is not just happening in Nevada. It is happening across the country in every state, including those red states. This fight tonight is, I agree with Senator Angus, is just the beginning. This is the beginning to show and fight for Americans across the country. Let me just say this. With the government open, we can focus on passing a full bipartisan budget for 2026.
Oh yeah, that's been going so well lately. The bipartisan budget negotiations, those have been going fucking phenomenally. Yeah, I bet.
That starts with a minibus that will restore funding that President Trump cut. It delivers millions of dollars in critical funding to states like Nevada, all across the country. And it, you will hear, blocks the administration from future rifts. We have an opportunity also to put Republicans on the record on the ACA. Are they committed to doing this?
As opposed to this? Are they not already on the record? This is America's longest government shutdown in all of history because they don't want to renew those tax credits. How could this possibly not already be? I love you. Thank you. How could this not already be an indicator? How is this not on the record? It's going down in the history books, man. It's not just on the record. People are going to be reading about this shit in fucking high school AP history classes. Again, you have to be insane to think that this is just genuine incompetence as opposed to malicious incompetence. You have to be you so charitable that it's actually a mental illness to believe, oh no, she just thought that up until now nobody thought this was like a fighting issue, you know?
Are they committed? Leader Thune said he would come to the table on a health care once the government was open, and now he must follow through. If Republicans want to join us in lowering costs for working families, they have the perfect opportunity to show.
While Trump's up there up to some monkey business, I'm over here standing on business.
American public. I expect Republicans
Hey, we might get the Epstein files soon if the House opens. The House is closed because Mike Johnson keeps it closed. The government shutdown doesn't affect Congress. Mike Johnson has been week after week failing to reopen the House because of the Epstein vote.
At the table in
59-40, one more vote. Yeah, it's a yeah.
The next few weeks, I expect the White House to be at the table. And if they do choose not to come to the table, they can own the disastrous.
This bill needs to go back to Congress because there are changes from the House bill. Ah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Has to go back there anyway. Mike Johnson is going to be like, okay, everyone, we're just going to look at one thing, and then we're all going back on vacation until you stop fucking bringing up Epstein, okay? Just one thing. Fucking seriously, guys.
Premium increases that will continue to rise. They will own the fact that Americans across this country are going to lose access to health care. We were elected in the Senate to work on real solutions that help working families. It's our response.
Maybe this was the play. Oh my fucking God, guys. Holy shit. Listen up, gang. Here's the plan. We're going to sacrifice the political reputations of a handful of moderate Senate Democrats so that we can get the vote to exactly 60-40, but one person will show up late. Republicans, meanwhile, will be convening over at the House to quickly reopen the House so that they can vote on the bill that we're going to send enough people for if the 60th yes vote shows up. Then, the moment Mike Johnson goes to reopen the House, all of a sudden, boom, Grijalva shows up. Epstein files, they get through, everyone's already in the Senate building instantly. I'm telling you guys, it's genius. Schumer, I gotta hand it to you.
Responsibility to work not only here amongst ourselves, but across the aisle, to solve these problems for the Americans, make their lives a little bit easier.
What would happen if the files got released? Absolutely nothing.
And that's what we have done tonight.
So, hey, everybody, I'm the cleanup hitter because I joined this group I joined it 48 hours ago. Not for lack of interest. And
Appreciate that he's dressed like a clown, so we have that too.
To applaud Gene Shaheen and this group because they have been having open meetings that anybody could participate in on negotiation. But I had my hands full focused on the Virginia elections until Wednesday morning. And as soon as that was over, I have now engaged with a particular purpose in mind. I knew the Democratic appropriators led by Patty Murray were going to do the very best job they could to get these 3 approach bills queued up and moving forward. A bill, for example, that has very robust SNAP funding, very robust funding for the VA. I had confidence in that. And I had confidence in these guys that they were going to get the best possible deal they could get from Republicans on the ACA. We were in a situation where SNAP recipients were suffering, and there was no guarantee we would ever get to an ACA solution. Now we've got robust SNAP funding and a guaranteed vote, not a guaranteed outcome, but a guaranteed vote on ACA.
No, I would say it's a pretty guaranteed outcome. No, don't sell yourself short, man. I would say that you've pretty much secured a guaranteed outcome next month for the ACA tax subsidy extension. Don't sell yourself short, man. Come on.
ACA tax credits. But I engaged on the issue that I've been talking about for a month on the floor to Senator Thune, Katie Britt, Lindsey Graham, James Lankford, anybody who would listen to me on the Republican side. I've said what I need in Virginia, with 320,000 federal employees who live in households that probably encompass nearly 650 or 700,000 residents in my state, I need a moratorium on mischief.
Monkey
My Virginians
business.
have been suffering under this administration. The shutdown started on January 20. I need a moratorium on the punishing of the federal workforce. That's what I need. And so I joined this group to make sure that we could get important protection.
Liberals like this are falling for the bait. Listen, okay, I know some liberals are going to be fucking stupid and like defend this. The amount of hatred that I'm seeing directed towards the Democrats right now, even from moderate Dems, is so overwhelming. Like on social media, I don't know if it'll hold, but I think that like, at least on some level, this is a new line that's been crossed. Like this is such an obvious capitulation, and a lot of like regular rank and file Democrats, like voters. I mean, like regular, just normal people who are Democratic voters, who have been suffering because of the federal government shutdown, are going to be furious about the way this ended. You know, like this is like a lifelong grudge thing. Can you imagine having to like tell your child that you're not going to be able to make them the meal that they normally like to have after school because of the snap cuts? You probably wouldn't explain the snap cuts to them. But in your head, you're thinking, I really hope the Democrats hold their feet firm because I really need those ACA tax credits as well. And then the Democrats fucking fold, make 5.5 weeks of your suffering irrelevant, and then also don't get the ACA tax extensions. This is like a lifelong hatred thing, you know? This is the shit that led Ronins to wander the forest looking for the man who killed their master 30 years ago type shit. It's people are going to be fucking furious forever.
For federal employees. And what we have in this bill is the restoration of all the furloughed employees and a guarantee of their back pay, the restoration of all RIFT employees who got RIFT after October 1 with all of their back pay, and a guarantee of no RIFs. No RIFs going forward. 2 million federal workers, not just my 300,000.
How long does John Cornyn have to show up? How long does he have? Like, I know these votes can take forever. Are we talking like an hour, 10 hours? How long are we going for here?
2 million federal workers who are not uniform military now have a guarantee of no RIFs going forward. So they don't have to go into the holiday season with anxiety about what's going to show
They'll
up.
hold indefinitely if they have to. The best case scenario here is that he takes so long to get to DC. Like, you know, he tries to fly over, the flight gets canceled. You know how it is right now. Or yeah, Pelosi got his ass. That one of the traitor Dems switches their vote.
On their email one morning at 5:30 a.m. That's a big win for 2 million federal employees, and added together with these other ingredients of robust appropriations bills and a guaranteed path forward to vote on fixing the ACA, that made me sign on and say, yes, we can do it. I had a number of Republicans on the floor tonight that said, we were amazed that you got that no RIF guarantee in there. And I'm glad that we did, and we all worked so hard on it together, and I have huge respect for my colleagues who made this happen. Thanks.
Senator, you say you're fighting on the Affordable Care Act. What do you say to your colleagues who say this isn't a fight, this is a capitulation? You're putting together, you're agreeing to a vote on a bill that it almost certainly will not become law, and you're allowing that to happen.
Well, first of all, there was, as long as the government shut down, the clear statement from Senator Thune and the Republicans.
She was about to say was what she was about to say was, as long as the government shutdown ends, that's what I care about.
The majority, and they control the Senate, the House, the White House, was we will not talk about health care with you. So there was no vote that we were going to get on the Affordable Care Act, premium tax credits.
Guys, I tried negotiating, but it was hard. They said they didn't like my initial offer. Then they gave me an unreasonable offer, and then they left. What do I do?
Have a guaranteed vote by a guaranteed date on a bill that we will write. Not that the Republicans will write, although...
Are you again, this, I need everyone watching this to understand. They are your enemy. This woman is your enemy. She knows perfectly well that the Republicans will not vote for the ACA tax extension when the bill gets voted on next month. She 100% knows. She's not, it's not stupidity. It's not, oh, she's so dumb. She knows. She's just betting that you're dumb. And you're watching me, so odds are yes. But she's betting that you're dumb. That's why she's saying this. She's fully aware. She knows that it's bullshit. She's been bought. Maybe she's been bought. Maybe she never cared to begin with. It doesn't matter. Her motivations are irrelevant, you know? It's tempting always to turn over in your head, why did the traitor betray us, you know? But past a certain point, sometimes people are just sus, you know? You have to accept reality as it presents itself to you.
I do think it's important for us to engage with them because we need a bipartisan bill that we know is going to get enacted to provide the relief that Americans need. And I think there's a commitment on the part of many of our colleagues to do that.
But there's no guarantee this will become law.
There was never a guarantee that it would become law.
Well, just to follow up on that, Senator, because we understand that this vote will happen, but a vote on the extending the tax credits, it does not guarantee that it's going to happen. So how do you explain, though, to your constituents why it was worth it to put up this fight for so long when in the end...
See, and this is correct rhetoric now. Yeah, now it's on them. Congratulations. Now it's the Democrats' fault that we had a shutdown. Yep, this is right. Why fucking wait if nothing changed?
And you did not get your key demand.
Then they're pitching it amongst themselves like, who wants to deal with this bull? Who wants to wipe this bullshit up, you know? We shouldn't have to answer these questions. We're senators. Our job is to, take dirty money and feel important when we get invited to dinners with contractors. You know, why do we have to? Yeah, we're above you. You're a peasant.
Because it wasn't working. How long would it take?
We lost.
To not get a response, to say it isn't working. In other words, it's been 6 weeks. There's been the Republicans made it clear they weren't going to discuss the health care issue, the Affordable Care Act tax credits, until the shutdown was over. We tried to keep working that for 6 weeks. It didn't happen. The vote that we have, there's not a guarantee for sure. It's more of a guarantee. Here's the way I would put it. As I assessed it, there was zero chance of dealing with the ACA.
I think they're just naive. You can't think they're naive. You can't think that it is dangerous to the country if you think that this is naive, because this is how they keep getting away with it over and over and over and over again. When people tell you who they are, you have to believe them.
As long as the shutdown continued. Now, I don't know, 50-50, but there's a lot better chance now than there was this morning because nothing was happening and there was no evidence that another week or another 2 weeks or Thanksgiving or Christmas was suddenly the Republicans were to come to us and say, oh, we want to now talk about the ACA. if they weren't going to do it by now, what's going to change in the next 2 weeks that's going to make them do it? And that was really the assessment. Again, I would say, right, as of this morning, there was a 0 chance of having a work on.
I appreciate him just straightforwardly saying that he can be bullied into voting for Republican bills indefinitely into the future, you know?
ACA. Now there's a measurable chance. Will it be everything that everybody wanted? No, because we need 60 votes. And so there's going to be a negotiation. But Republicans have already started saying, well, here, you know, if you did this or did that, maybe we can get there. So I would take a reasonable chance against no chance every day. And
just betting on you being stupid. There is no reasonable chance. The chance is 0% that Republicans randomly decide to suddenly vote for the ACA tax extension.
And the other piece is, and we didn't really emphasize this, there are 3 important appropriations bills in this that would lock in SNAP for the rest of the year at a very substantial rate, plus other benefits, veterans funding.
Did anyone else vote yet? Cornyn is the only person who hasn't voted. It's 40-59. Nobody knows where Cornyn is. Our only hope is that he's been disappeared or that he's getting molested by a TSA agent right now and is going to be delayed so long that one of the traitor Dems changes their votes. Or, I don't know, a groiper on Twitter tells Mike Lee that it would be epic and based if he cucked Israel by changing his vote to a no, and then we get that. You know, I don't know.
Is guaranteed if we can get these 3 bills through. So there's a plus on that. And I think the odds are that we have a better chance of doing something
Mike
about
Lee,
the ACA
my Hyperborean warrior.
Not going into this.
Please.
At some point, you have to decide, you know, what is the best strategic step forward. And we believe that the evidence is that what we were doing wasn't working, and therefore, let's try something else.
And the real question is, why would a president of the United States pit hungry children against sick children? And that is what President Trump has done. I mean, this is outrageous. We can't reach agreement on government funding, so the government shuts down, and even though the law is clear that he could fund SNAP benefits during a shutdown, he did not.
Yeah, that was like a really tough political position that he was in. It was making a lot of people really, really, really angry at him. But nah, you know.
And then he also said, and by the way, I don't really care if people's health insurance...
Democrats are so stupid, I can't. I need that. They're not stupid. They just hate you. They're just evil pedophiles. I'm sorry. You can't... It's not their stupid. They know what they're saying is wrong.
Premiums get so high they can't afford their care. That's on Donald Trump. My vote today was to do 2 things, both equally morally important and imperative. One is to make sure that the government is functioning so that our kids eat, so that our elderly citizens eat, so that our air traffic controllers can get some sleep and earn money.
Being an evil pedophile is stupid. You've outmaneuvered me. Congratulations. Would you like my channel? I'll give you the stream key.
Get paid while they are working so that our veterans are protected, and continue the fight to a realistic platform to get the premium tax cuts done. And if that is not successful, then shame on the Republican Party and shame on Donald Trump.
Shame.
But the American people will see who stands with them on health care and who does not. And that will be the platform of the next stage of the fight. I hope we can find bipartisan agreement on an extension of those premium tax credits. In New Hampshire, couples who are 60 years old or so, earning $85,000 a year, are seeing like a $15,000 increase in their insurance premiums. This has to get fixed. And we have about
my vote blue no matter who. Priors are getting challenged, guys. Only 13 minutes left for our vote. No sign of corn anywhere. Why is there only 13 minutes left? My understanding was that this could be kept open like indefinitely.
Wants to do it before the harm gets to be irreparable. And again, if the Republicans can't come to the table and do something reasonable on this and make sure that people can afford their health care and that the whole private commercial market also doesn't see skyrocketing increases, then shame on them.
What do you say
It's
to
almost
the
done.
millions of Americans who are already in the Obamacare exchanges, seeing premiums skyrocketed, who were hoping because of what you all said that they would get answers on what their premiums would be now, but have to wait weeks longer since you've decided to open the government without immediate action on the subsidies?
Well, as Senator Hassan said so well, the Republicans weren't providing any commitment or even a willingness to vote or a willingness to discuss extending the premium tax credits. We have the opportunity to do that now, and we will hold their feet to the fire.
And just quick, most of us up here in the group of 8 that voted for this tonight have voted repeatedly with the Democratic strategy of we're not opening and we want you to take action on the
Cornyn has landed at the Dole's airport. Okay, so the molested by TSA agent theory was correct. So it'll probably be a little while before he makes it over to the actual Capitol building. Again, like, the vote's pretty much a done deal, guys. There's no reason to believe that Cornyn's going to not vote yes.
ACA tax credit. But after 40 days, it wasn't going to work. So here we are in a situation, and this was the reality. SNAP recipients suffering, nothing happening on ACA. The vote tonight will be full, and not just last year's, but full and robust SNAP funding for SNAP recipients and a path on the ACA. So from suffering and no path, we've now got robust benefits and a path. And that's what we tell our constituents.
Senator, if I could just ask, there's already calls now from Democrats in the House that are saying Leader Schumer should step aside, he should be replaced. You know, the 8 of you today voting with Republicans to advance this plan to reopen the government, does that just further the divides within the Democratic Party right now?
No. When I talk to my constituents in New Hampshire, you know what they say to me? They say, why can't you all just work together to address the problems that are facing this country?
Oh, yeah. That's, yeah. Oh, I'm sure. 100%. That's what Democrats are saying across the country right now. Why can't you work with Republicans more closely to pass the Republican CR? Oh, I'm sure. 100%. Yeah, that's definitely like the word on the street right now.
We put the Senate back on a path to start doing that today, and we're going to continue to work that
By
way.
voting for their bill.
If the president doesn't agree and the Republicans block the extension of AC subsidies, would you guys be willing to vote again against government funding in January when this funding runs out?
That's certainly an option that I think everybody will consider. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Or in other words, like, we'll side with the party until someone steps in and tells us to sign with the Republicans again. It's the revolving villain strategy, right? Where you, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it's exactly 60-40, by the way. I think that all of those potential yes votes from the Democrats met and they were like, who's going to take the fall? They probably drew straws, you know? Who here is, yeah, it's all planned. There are probably 20 or 30 Democrats in the Senate who would just do anything. Anything, you know, you could wave some cash in front of them. It doesn't matter. People with no principles whatsoever. And they would, you know, just who's going to take the fall this time? This time Schumer didn't have to take the fall. You know, Ossoff didn't have to, but they will. Is there any hope left anymore? Can you, I'm just begging, and this just a reminder to everyone, stop being a massive fucking pussy, okay? Your great whatever parents survived wars and the Black Plague, okay? Stop being a fucking, is there any hope anymore? Was your hope for the future hinging on the competence of Senate Democrats? Was that the fucking horse you put your ticket on? You woke up every morning and you were like, well, I've got personal projects, I've got a job, I'm trying to work out, lose some weight, you know, I've got like relationships to maintain and people in my family to care for, but all of that's hinging on the Senate Democrats. You know, is that how you've been living your life? Because if so, it's fucking over, dog. It's hopeless. And frankly, there's no point anymore. But if you've lived your life for any reason other than the competence of Senate Democrats, then I think there might be a path forward. Things were going well. Now we're getting hit with brutal reality again. Maybe you forgot. I didn't forget. This whole time I've said I'm surprised the shutdown's held for as long as it did. The Democrats have held for as long as they did. I said Mamdani's victory is a wedge against people like Schumer. This isn't about the Democrats. The Democrats hate you. The Democrats want you dead, man. Okay? They're all on fucking Little St. James 2 right now. They don't give a fuck about you, all right? It's not about Democrats versus Republicans, because if it was, Republicans have already won that fight. They did a decade ago, okay? It's about people like Mamdani, like Katie Wilson, against the Democrats until they're strong enough to beat the Republicans. Thankfully, the Republicans are helping all of us out by weakening themselves by doing consistently unpopular shit. Vosh, I was literally only living because I believed in the integrity of Senate Dems. Please do not put my name in your note on your way out, okay? Jesus fucking Christ. Put us on instead. Put us on instead.